It's the Pete Souza Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
And then Peter Sousa. I had a quick story to tell you about these guys. Peter Sousa.
From high atop Central Texas, it's the Pete Souza Show, presented by the Rogue Media Network.
All right, the Pete Souza Show. Yeah, it looks pretty good, Scotty. Scotty Swingler on the wheels of steel. I raced over here, just finishing up inside the 12 and inside the 12 taping where we had on Todd McShay of the McShay Report. And he loves, first of all, he was talking about the Baylor-Kansas game. And he mentioned to me that is a game where not only, I mean, do I know, and you guys know, that's a very important game, right, for the state of both of those teams. But, like, you've got Sawyer Robertson. You have Dylan Edwards, who is back now. You have Bryson Washington. Todd is in love with Michael Trigg. Don't forget about Avery Johnson. There are like a ton of dudes who are going to be making a living on Sundays that'll be featured in that game. So as much as it's like a big game for both of those teams, like it's going to be prolific too. With Dylan Edwards back, that Kansas State team is just totally different. We heard it yesterday with Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Wildcats. That interview is up on the YouTube site for our show. And then, of course, you can check out today. We're talking to Steve Hartman in about, I don't know, like 30 minutes, 25 minutes. And that's great because it gives me an opportunity, as we remind you that the Pete Souza Show is presented by Slovakics. It gives me an opportunity. Let me get comfortable here, right? Gosh. Gives me an opportunity to talk about like some stuff that I have like top of mind. Three items. Napheesa Collier and the WNBA. I want to tell you guys about the best show on television right now. And we'll sprinkle in a little Big 12 too, because that is top of mind, coming over here from the studio after recording that, which it airs on Thursday nights on True TV. It's in all your Big 12 television markets and other markets around the country. And then you can catch Inside the 12 on HBO Max. Of course, if you're just joining us for the first time, it's a show where we break down the entire conference and it's piping hot football teams. It's a lot of fun, man. So I'm pumped. So let's get to Napheesa Collier. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but this young woman completely napalmed the WNBA and its commissioner, Kathy Engelbert. Now, I don't have like a piping hot opinion on this per se, because there's more information to be gathered before you just weigh in and lower the boom on either side. If you guys don't know, which you probably don't, and that was my number one issue with this rant from Napheesa Collier. I'm not going to be the guy. First of all, I don't want to be the person who, I look back, and just bear with me on this. All right. I don't want people to freak out, but like you look at Lou Brock, right? Like basically the guy who broke through and started free agency. You look at Jackie Robinson, right? At the risk of being way too extreme. But someone who was able to move forward in the face of so much adversity, right? And to basically be that feisty voice. And Jackie Robinson wasn't necessarily a feisty voice, but his actions spoke louder than any voice ever could have, right? But, some of the bigger figures in our nation's history have been able to fight the power per se, right? And that is what you got to give big time props to Napheesa Collier for, right? Like having the courage to do that, because I could tell she was nervous. And let me give you some context if you don't know. She read a statement, and it was basically like, teams do exit interviews when their season's over. And the Minnesota Lynx, who Collier plays for, were eliminated from the WNBA playoffs. Now, she didn't do a Q&A. She said, I have a statement to read. And she read this statement, and she said a couple things that were very, very pointed. The number one thing is she brought to light a discussion she had with the WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, which honestly sounds like it was a conversation that was off the record, or like maybe in some kind of confidence, that Napheesa Collier was like, you know what, screw it. We're not getting any movement on any of the things we want. We're coming down the pike to some sort of a possibility of a labor dispute. And like, it's enough already, because nobody is helping our causes that we're talking about. She talked about salaries, like how this is Napheesa Collier saying to Kathy Engelbert, well, can you explain to me why Caitlin Clark is only making X amount, because it is kind of crazy when you see her salary. And Kathy Engelbert's retort is like, hey, like Caitlin Clark should thank God that she can make all the money off the NBA, off of the WNBA floor, for playing in the WNBA, like all her sponsorship deals and stuff. And then another statement was like, I asked her about the officiating, and she was like, only the losers complain, right, about the officiating. And there was more and more like really hyperbolic stuff. And basically she was like, we have incompetent leaders in the WNBA. She said, I know what it takes to run a league, because I guess her and her husband are a big part of the Unrivaled group. I think her husband runs the league. And, Unrivaled has different arms, right, of sports, women's sports. Obviously basketball is one of them. And at the top of that is Napheesa Collier and her husband, as far as like running the organization, I think, on a basketball side. So, there's two schools of thought here. Like, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, because what she said it so eloquently. And I think it was a voice that probably needed to be heard. I think it could kind of suck that she may have breached confidence. But I'm sure she would tell you enough is enough. I think that although it had to be said when it was said because of the timing, because I think there was a lot of dissension in the ranks on the Minnesota side because there was terrible officiating, in their opinion, in the WNBA semifinals. Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Lynx, who's won like a ton of championships in the WNBA with Minnesota and is a big-time name in the WNBA and in all coaching circles, basketball-wise. She was fined like a ton of money and suspended for a game. Like, the Lynx, like they went like berserk about some of the officiating. So obviously now that is in the immediate rear view. It's exit interview time, and Napheesa Collier drops a bomb. Now, too bad for her that she dropped it on the first day of the Major League Baseball playoffs, and smack dab in the middle of the college football and NFL season. NBA training camps opened earlier this week. And it's like, so I really think it kind of got lost in the sauce. If this was dropped in the middle of the summer, I think it's all anybody will be talking about. But it's not. And I think that is a small win for the WNBA. Now, I know from having worked in the NBA that there is a lot of truth to the fact that the WNBA has been kept afloat by the NBA. No questions asked, right? That's a fact. There is also a lot behind, she says that the NBA uses the WNBA as just like a tax write-off, which Napheesa Collier said this, right? So it's like there's two schools of thought here. There's one, like, I am so proud of someone to stand up in the face and be a voice, right? Because Caitlin Clark's not doing this. Caitlin Clark probably, you could say, has way too much to lose to do this. There's been no comment yet from Caitlin Clark on this statement, at least as far as I know. I have not seen anything. I was just basically underground though, taping a show, so I'm not quite sure. I could have missed something, and I haven't seen a response from the WNBA yet. From my opinion, and I talked about it on this show just a couple days ago, the WNBA with Caitlin Clark's injury has fallen off the grid. My grid, at least. And I am the average WNBA fan. I'm not like a fly-by-night fan. Like, like there are people that are annoyed, I'm sure, watching the show that I'm even talking about this, right? Which I apologize, but I think it's an important thing to tackle and discuss. Because I do think as much as it was a memorable rant and situation, and I don't even want to call it a rant, it was just a memorable like speech or statement. I do think it got lost yesterday. So it's something I want to point out and talk about. The WNBA without Caitlin Clark is a loser on the floor and off of it, right? Now with Caitlin Clark, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? Like, I may like the WNBA, right? But most people don't. And I think that one of the things that these young women have been fooled by has been, because even if you watch the WNBA playoffs, like last night, I like flipped on it just to like check it out. I didn't even know there was a game, but I flipped it on, and the arena's packed. I think they were playing in Las Vegas. I think it was Indiana and Las Vegas. Like, the arena's jam-packed. So, like, if you're playing in these games and you see there's a lot of people coming to the playoff games and stuff, and there's attendance is better, but like the rankings the ratings stink without Caitlin Clark on the floor. They just do, and it does not make a ton of money. Now, Kathy Engelbert said, and this is another thing that Napheesa Collier shared, that the WNBA and its players should thank their lucky stars that Engelbert negotiated such a deal. Like, which is kind of like, that's okay for me to say. Honestly, I would even pause at saying that, right? But like the commissioner of the league should not say that under any circumstances. If this is true, what Napheesa Collier has said, then like that woman, Kathy Engelbert, needs to go because she doesn't quite understand the responsibility that comes with being the commissioner of the WNBA. You do not say to a player in the league as you approach a collective bargaining agreement, you don't say all this negative stuff like in such a pointed fashion. That's just not, I think a lot of people are going to be hung up on the fact that the commissioner of the WNBA just may be incompetent, right? But like, lest anyone think that Kathy Engelbert is pulling the strings for the WNBA. That's not true. Like, I've been to the league office. I worked in the NBA. I know she is I would think like a definition of a figurehead, especially with the resurgence or should I say like insurgence of popularity for this league on the heels of Caitlin Clark being a part of it, right? So like there are more people involved than ever moving the WNBA forward. But without Caitlin Clark, the league is not even close to the monster that it thinks it is. Like if Caitlin Clark wanted to go start her own league, the WNBA would be floundering. Yeah, I that's what I believe because that's what I know history-wise. I would still watch it. Dude, I worked for USA Basketball on women's basketball teams. I loved it. I worked when I was working in Charlotte. We had a WNBA team named the Charlotte Sting. I loved going to games. I love women's basketball. But as far as how many people are coming to the table to watch women's basketball without Caitlin Clark, like it's just not happening. So that could be a real hard truth that is learned by some of these WNBA players as we head into this offseason and the collective bargaining agreement. At the end of the day, I can honestly say I need to gather more information, although I think I did spout a bunch of opinions. Come on in. It's Dan Ingram. All right, Dan. I did spout off a bunch of opinions, so that's something to keep in mind. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Dan Ingram. Taking it to the bank, baby. Don't go anywhere.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Is the Pete Souza Show, and we are at the bank, baby, taking it to the bank with the great Dan Ingram.
The great, well, okay, I'll take it.
Hey, come on, First National.
My picks are not.
First National Bank of Central Texas. By the way, you obviously, I'm sure you didn't see it, but I did during the open yesterday. I thanked our sponsors, and I created this amazing line of events. I said you can watch the Pete Souza Show. Make sure you can. I just said as an aside, you go to Slovacek's, obviously. And then you can get a car at Socorro Family Ford. God forbid something happened to you on the road. You call Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and when they take care of you, you run to the bank with your money and you put it in First National Bank of Central Texas, where it will accrue worth.
A perfect little timeline right there. I like that. I love Slovacek's, by the way. That place is awesome.
Dude, and they already
give you. Did they ever bring any food for anything like that?
You know, I haven't quite made it to the status where they'll bring me food, but I can go get some.
Fair
you know.
enough. Yeah.
That's for like the Robert Wests of the world, you know.
Nice, solid reference. Right there. Yes.
If you know Robert West, you know what I'm talking about.
I got some cookies. Yeah.
He's like, hey, come on down. I got your cookies right now.
Yep.
So Dan, we're 0-4 on the year.
That's bad.
I just want to get it out of the way.
Bad.
It's not. Look,
like you have to try to be this bad. It's wild.
Dan, I'll tell you something. I actually really do gamble,
Yeah.
and I'm probably doing worse. So don't even worry about
What's
it.
funny is I'm in like a fake gambling league.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm doing well in that. And
I did the never again. I mean, I don't bet like a ton of money or like a ton of games. But for me, like I'll bet like four games. And then you think I know what I'm talking about. Like maybe doing all this, like that's a great example too. Like you don't know. I've heard this, and it was one of my favorite lines. And I think it was in Casino, and they talked about, you know, these guys who really had success gambling, they knew like a quarterback had a drug problem. You know what I mean? They knew that a quarterback, his wife was having an affair.
There aren't the secrets like that now either.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah. There's no more like, you know, the only thing you can have now is like knowing a guy's injured, right? Before it's released.
Right. And so before the line moves.
There was a big movement line that actually applies to this segment. So yesterday, Cincinnati is at Iowa State. You saw this. Cincinnati is favored by 1.5 against undefeated 14th ranked Iowa State, but Iowa State lost their 2 cornerbacks for the season.
There you go.
It was announced yesterday afternoon, and boom, the moment it's announced, flip.
They knew.
Yeah. They know.
But somebody knew and was able to make a bet before, before the line moved. Yeah.
So tell me anything happening at the bank we need to know about? Anything like
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so we're always looking for new customers, and every bank says, "Hey, we got great customer service," but I think we're pretty awesome at that. But again, we're in the cycle now. We give away the free gifts when you open up a checking account, and you get a pretty cool flashlight you open up to. It's a lantern with all kind of tools inside. So yeah, you get one of those with an account. A heck of a deal right there.
What's the biggest difference that as opposed to a bigger bank like a TD Bank as it relates to a bank that is more, like you said, customer friendly,
Right.
and the people
So
at your bank?
that's it right there. And I'm going to tell you right now, Waco's pretty blessed. It has, I want to say, 7 or 8 locally owned banks, and that's really unusual. Most have been bought up or part of consolidation, and we still have that here. So customers are pretty lucky in this town. National Bank, I mean, obviously they do a lot of things right because they're that big, but a local bank, you're going to know your banker. They're not going to have a bunch of fees. They're not going to fee you to death. You're going to be able to meet with someone face to face, that kind of thing. That's the difference with a locally owned community bank for the most part over the national banks. That's obviously generalizing it, and from our perspective, that's what we bring to the table. Yeah.
What for you is the biggest story right now in college football?
That NIL and the transfer portal is actually increasing the number of teams that can win a national title. For several years, we'd look at it, and maybe there were just 3 or 4. I think you could say right now 8 or 9 teams can win a national title. I really believe that. So I think you've got now, is it perfect? Heck no. I think all of us would agree with that. But there's a lot more teams that can look in the mirror and say, we got a chance to win a national title this year or make a run. Teams that think they can make a run is probably like 30, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, that's probably not true. But you could name 15 or 16 and think they can win a game or 2, and honestly, they could. So I think that's the biggest story right now is how college football has changed in that way.
As far as watching Baylor play this year, their deficiencies on defense have become glaring, and it's a surprise because Dave Aranda's at the helm, but then maybe it isn't when you look at, do they just lack personnel? Like for you, somebody who knows the sport, watches football, sports director for years, what have you seen from Baylor's defense? Is it I hate this term, but is it the Jimmies and Joes or is it the X's and O's?
I'm not smart enough in football to give you a good answer. I will just tell you someone I trust who was at the Oklahoma State Baylor game, who was a longtime college football coach, said he was very surprised at how simple Baylor's defense is. And I don't know, I believe him that's true. And he said, and he couldn't believe how easy it would be to scheme up against them. And now there must be a reason they're doing that because Dave Aranda is a smart guy.
Yeah.
But maybe they just don't feel like they can implement everything that they need to. But he said it's very simple. And he said, like for OSU, he thought it was pretty easy for them to scheme up against. Obviously, the offense is good enough to win that game and beat a not very good OSU team. But still, they said it seemed very simple what they run right now.
And that goes back to your first point, the transient culture now of college football, where it's like, you have a system, but like, do you really? Because you're introducing new people to that system all the time. So it kind of handcuffs a brilliant defensive coach like Dave Aranda. Like maybe there's only so much you can do. I see Scotty over here.
And
on
maybe
the floor.
they get better as the season goes along too. But it is disappointing and surprising that the defense, the Baylor's defense so far. I think that's fair to say.
All right, so your picks have not been great.
They've been awful,
right?
But historically bad.
But here you are, which by the way, accountability is a special thing.
That's right. Yeah.
And it is a long season too, by the way, and that's why we're not.
I got to start putting some W's together, man.
Either way, I mean, this segment isn't going anywhere, so don't even think about it. We're going to move it to Thursdays because I taped that Inside the 12 thing at whatchamacallit at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's always like a jailbreak for me on Wednesdays. But I got to get your pick for this week. I need to take it to the bank.
All right. So, do with this what you will, to go against it, whatever. But I like Arizona at home. It's a lot of points to give up, but given 20.5 to Oklahoma State, I think it was fool's gold Oklahoma State last week. I think they were fired up, played at home, played a defense that wasn't very good. Frankly, I think they now got to get on a plane, fly to Arizona. It's going to be hot as heck there. I think Arizona wins. I think Arizona wins pretty easily over Oklahoma State this weekend. So I think Arizona minus 20.5. That is a ton of points to give up. But
I actually really like that pick. I think there's a come down for Oklahoma State 100%. After last week. What did you think about as an Oklahoma State alum, and it was a Baylor game? So I'm pretty sure you. I love the graphics, Scotty. I'm pretty sure you watched the game.
I was there
right?
with my daughter and my sister. I was there. Yeah.
Oh, you were at the game.
I was there. Yes.
Well, dude, that's okay.
I'll say so. First of all, it was like the stadium was just about full.
Yeah.
50, 60, which was kind of cool to see that the fans are still out there. And then just two bad defenses, man. It was too bad. Like Baylor had guys just like OSU was just in the wrong spot. I mean, just two not very good defenses. But Sawyer Robinson and that offense is really good and are going to beat some teams just because they're going to outscore them.
Yeah, I'm calling the game this weekend, right? You and I talked about that. And I'll tell you this one last thing, and this is where like the ego gets in the way. A year ago, we had Sawyer Robertson in this studio, okay? And I asked him, I said, how do you say your name? Like, how do you say it? Like, and he was like, Sawyer. It's not Sawyer, it's Sawyer. And he said, actually, my mom gets upset. And I was like, really? So this is a year ago. So then I'm on a call yesterday with ESPN, and people are like, do you know his mom gets upset when he says it wrong? I'm like, and I'm sitting there like,
I'm familiar.
Yeah, I'm biting my tongue. I'm like, yeah, that's right. But you can't be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
That goes back to, I know we got to get, like when I did high school football, like the most important thing sometimes was to make sure I got those names right on Friday night, because that moms and grandmas will get mad if you don't have those names right. So, because I remember it happened to me once in high school, someone said Ingram. Bob Berry Jr. said that on News Channel 4 on like a highlight, and Ingram with the bucket. My grandmother called the station. True story.
One last thought, because we got Steve Hartman waiting in the wings from Los Angeles, and we got all kinds of stuff to talk to him about. Vern Lundquist, I had a chance to talk to that podcast I do, The Payoff, about sobriety. Very
cool.
So Oksana Bayul came on, right? Remember her?
I saw the clips. I have not watched.
Yes.
I have not listened to the whole thing.
It's not up yet. Well,
there you go.
Yeah.
Then
whatever, Dan. Like you were
promotions
mining for
are
it.
working well.
Yeah. But she said Vern Lundquist during the 1994 Olympic Games approached her and was like, "Hey, I need to know." She could barely speak English. She was like, "How do you say the name of your town?" And she said he was like the nicest, sweetest man. Yeah. And she was so blown away that a broadcaster cared that much. You know, he walked over to her and got it. And to me, that's like, that is
It's a
broadcasting.
credibility thing. It's a credibility thing.
Yeah.
If you start messing up a bunch of that, then that's what people notice. They don't hear the words you're saying.
Yeah. Dan, you keep us credible.
There we go.
I appreciate you, brother.
Have a great
We'll see you next week on Thursday. My bad on the scheduling this week.
It's all good, man.
All right, let's bring in now Steve Hartman. He is joining us live from Los Angeles. Steve, man, thanks so much for doing this.
Pete, it's great to be with you, man. It's I'm sorry that I have such an informal background here. I'm actually at a buddy's place right now. I've been in the Phoenix area for a couple of days, so forgive me for this background right here, or lack of.
Right, legends like you earn the right to take trips like that. You know, I mean, you've put in your time, but I know you are still dialed in, and I want to ask you about a couple things LA that have been top of mind. The first thing is the Chargers. How do folks in the Los Angeles area respond to a coach now who has been 5-0 pretty much, if you include the Chargers, turning organizations and programs around? But it's also a fan base that people look at as, hey, it's kind of fair weather there. And that's the change from San Diego to LA. What is the pulse of the city surrounding the Chargers?
Zero, Pete. I mean, let's put it this way. There are always going to be diehard fans of any team, right? I mean, there are diehard Charger fans. One of my sons happens to be one of those. But the bottom line is nobody in LA wanted the Chargers. Nobody. The NFL shoved the Chargers down LA's throat as part of the deal to get the Rams into Los Angeles. So let's just start there. So you're like, okay, wait a second. You got Justin Herbert. You got Jim Harbaugh. You got a team that made the playoffs a year ago. They're well on their way maybe to another playoff run if they don't have more injuries this year. It doesn't register in LA. The NFL doesn't register in LA. It's about the Dodgers and it's about the Lakers. So almost any other major city, the NFL rules. That is not the case in LA. And it's been a decade now. So, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to change. There's going to be a few fans. Anyone that's been out to SoFi Stadium for a Charger game sees what everyone else sees. 75% of the crowd is for the other team. The Broncos come into town. It's a Bronco home game. I mean, it is this way every single week. The league forced the Chargers to pay the money to bring in Jim Harbaugh. They want the LA market here. I'm telling you, Pete, they are desperate to somehow register with the LA market and the NFL, but so far hasn't happened.
How much different is it now? I got two more questions on this before we move on. How much different is it now? Because you were there when the Raiders won a Super Bowl, right? I mean, like we're going back, but you get the idea. How much different is it now as compared to back then, where it seems like, knowing the history like I do, but I wasn't there like you, the Raiders had some juice in the city. I mean, the Coliseum was a tough place to sell out, but they had juice. What's the biggest difference between then and now?
Well, I'll take it a step further, Pete. I worked for the Los Angeles Raiders. I was their media relations director.
Yeah.
I joined them literally 6 months after they won that Super Bowl. So I worked with the LA Raiders from 1984 to 1988. And you're absolutely right. First of all, the Raider brand is just obviously stronger than either the Rams brand or the Chargers brand. And they had stars. And so they brought that star power to the Los Angeles area. And by the way, if you were to poll LA NFL fans, in other words, you got someone identifies themselves as an NFL fan living in Los Angeles, pick your team: Rams, Chargers, Raiders. It's not even close. The Raiders still badly outnumber Rams fans and Charger fans in the city of Los Angeles. So, it's a branding. The Raiders have a brand. The Rams don't. The Chargers absolutely don't. And that's why the city of Los Angeles, on the whole, still has a much greater affection, even though they've been gone for 30 years for the Raiders than they do the Rams or the Chargers.
What's your favorite Al Davis story?
Oh, I got so many of them. You'll like this one. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So we're in Kansas City to play the Chiefs. This is 1985. And part of my deal with the Raiders is that when we would leave a stadium on the road, I had to be the last guy on the last bus. We'd have 4 buses take it back to the airport. So if you've ever been at Arrowhead, it's like a 45-minute drive to the airport. So normally Mr. Davis would be on the first bus. But as I'm getting everyone ready for the last bus, literally walking onto the bus, I hear, "Wait!" Here comes Al Davis. I don't know. He had stuck around and we had lost the game. So the players that were on this bus didn't want to say anything because obviously Al Davis was going to be on the bus. One of the players on the bus was Marcus Allen. So I am sitting next to Marcus, like on a side bench in the front of the bus. And the only place for Mr. Davis to sit is on my left. So I am now sandwiched between Al Davis and Marcus Allen. So the bus takes off. It's dead silent on the bus. And I'm looking straight ahead. And all of a sudden, Mr. Davis, can I use F words with you on your podcast?
Absolutely.
Okay, to give it full drama because, Mr. Davis. So I'm sitting there. We're about 10 minutes into the ride. And Mr. Davis looks to his right. It's like I'm a window, like I'm not even there. He wants to see Marcus, right? He goes, "What the fuck happened out there?" And without hesitation, Marcus looks at him and goes, "We lost." And I'm sitting in between this, like, bad answer. Bad answer. Really bad answer. Everything that and again, I worked for Al Davis in his prime. I wasn't working for the crypt keeper that you saw at the end of his life.
Yeah.
This is
the
still
Lane
Al
Kiffin
Davis.
deal.
This is Al Davis in the 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Al Davis in his 50s, still very much in his prime. Everything you've ever heard about Al Davis, the reality was tenfold. But I will say this. I left the Raiders organization in 88. They moved back to Oakland in 1995. 1999, I'm working television in LA, and I am at the NFL owners meetings in Phoenix when they were going to award the 32nd franchise. LA was trying to get it the last second, but we knew Houston was going to get that franchise. So I see Mr. Davis outside the owners. It's been like 10 years. I'm thinking he may not even remember me, right? So I walk up, I go, "Mr. Davis," Steve Hartman. He goes, "Steven, look at you. You're like a big TV and radio star these days." I'm like, Yeah, well, I'm married now. I got kids. I got kids to feed. He became my biggest fan. In fact, another quick story. 2003, I'm at the Hall of Fame ceremony for Marcus Allen. And by the way, the greatest family you'll ever meet is Marcus Allen's family. His mom, his dad, his brothers, everybody, just great people. So the night before you see the big speeches at the Hall of Fame, they have an event downtown in Canton where they actually are presented their gold jackets. And it's sort of like the fraternity thing where you're sort of welcome to the club. And there's a line of people, of Hall of Famers to, as they hand you the jacket and the whole thing. And I see Al Davis there, and he's talking to Chris Berman and Jim Gray. And I'm there with my wife. And so, I'm standing on the side. I don't want to interrupt. They're, Berman's blabbing away and everything else. And Mr. Davis turns his head, sees me, and literally Berman's in mid-sentence. And Mr. Davis goes, "Steven, how are you?" He literally walks away from Berman. He's like, "How are you? Good to see you." I go, "Look, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to introduce you. Where are you from, Denise?" He goes, blah, 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 blah. So he was one of those guys that if you showed loyalty to him, and I assured him when I left the Raiders, I wasn't going to work for another team. And I was
done. Yeah.
I sort of stumbled into my radio career, and the rest was history. But he had that thing about the loyalty. Like if you were loyal to the silver and black, he was going to be loyal to you. So the man I knew after leaving the Raiders was much different than the guy that I worked for when I was with the Raiders.
I could talk to you forever about Al Davis and the Raiders because it was such a magical situation from afar. Just what the Raiders did for the NFL and that brand, and how when I was a young kid growing up, it was so just magnetic. It was so sexy. It was just one of the coolest things. And the guys that were on the Raiders, they were outlaws, but they kicked ass. It was I'm sure it was an amazing time for you.
Can you imagine? I mean, we had Lyle Alzado.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there with Lyle Alzado.
3 Mile Lyle. I love that. That's one of my favorite nicknames.
Think about it. Our personnel director was Ron Wolf before he became the Hall of Fame general manager of the Packers. We had a Hall of Fame coach, Tom Flores, Al Davis. We got Marcus Allen. Ray Guy was on the team. Lyle Alzado, Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes, obviously Howie Long and Marcus Allen, Todd Christensen. I mean, Cliff Branch. I mean, we even signed my first year. We brought back Dave Casper. I mean, these were legends of legends. And then on top of that, there were first of all, we saw O.J. Simpson every day because O.J. was obviously a friend of Marcus Allen, and O.J. was in L.A. We were in L.A., so O.J. was on the grounds every day, long before the murders. And then we would see other people. Howard Cosell would be by, Jimmy the Greek Snyder. These were all fans of the Raiders, friends of Al Davis. So, I feel like I was on the periphery. I was there. Think about this. We only had 7 people in our entire front office.
That's amazing.
7. For an NFL team in Los Angeles, there were 7 of us. We had 2 secretaries, a receptionist, and 7 people in the front office. That was it for a team that had just won the Super Bowl in Los Angeles in the NFL. That's how things have changed from 40 years ago.
This is amazing. And what Al Davis did for, certain cultures and bringing everybody under the tent, I don't think that gets talked about enough. But I got to move on. I could literally talk to you forever about this. Lakers camp underway. Where are they in the zeitgeist right now of Los Angeles? Because for us here in Texas, you've got Luka, obviously you've got LeBron. People here are still miserable, even though the Mavs are looking to be a lot better, but they're miserable about that trade. What are you seeing from the Lakers as far as what is hype and what is real on the floor as far as LeBron's future is concerned as well, if you lump that in there?
Well, here's what's real, okay? The facts are the facts. LeBron's been here 7 years, and they've either missed the playoffs or been bounced in the first round 5 times. That's real. They won a bubble championship in 2020. I mean, that's the reality. And by the way, prior to him showing up, they had 6 straight losing seasons. So the Lakers are really not relevant anymore in terms of contending for championships. And it's ever happened since the passing of Dr. Buss. Look, I've known Jeannie Buss forever. Love her on a personal level. But she has a blind loyalty to people. She hired Kobe's agent to be her general manager. And by the way, when people think about conspiracy theories, that it just seems like, how the Lakers pull this Luka Doncic trade off. Look, the NBA is corrupt. The NBA has people making sure that certain franchises stay relevant, whether it was the frozen card to give the New York Knicks Patrick Ewing, or whatever you want to go with. If you believe conspiracies with the NBA, there's a reason to believe in conspiracies because they're a reality. And
so you think the NBA was behind that Luka Doncic trade?
Absolutely. They're also behind the fact that the Dallas Mavericks ended up with the number 1 pick in the draft.
Wow. I mean, coming from you, that matters.
Well, I mean, I've seen enough of this over these many years, Pete. I've been in this business a long, long time. The Southern California sports broadcasters just announced I'm going to be part of their Hall of Fame class for 2026.
Wow.
And honestly, I was like, I feel like Jim Cott or Harold Maines, like one of those guys that been around forever.
Yeah.
So let's throw the guy a bone. But having been around forever, and I've always felt like, even though I've done radio and TV all these years, I still feel like the PR guy that's really the guy behind the scenes. And I listen and I watch and I observe and I know what's going on. And so, now is that going to translate into a championship for the Lakers? Look, the LeBron situation is most interesting.
Yeah, give me some more on that.
Well, he could have signed an extension. He didn't want to. I mean, they're trying to flip it the other way, but the reality is the Lakers probably could have given an extension. It would have been at a reduced rate, but LeBron's never been about money. LeBron's never been the highest paid player in the NBA, ever.
Yeah.
So it's been about, and understand this. Think about this for a moment. When is the last time that LeBron came into a season where he wasn't the guy on his team? That would be never.
Yeah.
Never. Not in high school, not in the NBA. Never has he entered a season where he isn't the guy. And we're going to see how this works, because in order to get Luka to sign on the dotted line, which the Lakers did, he needed guarantees. There aren't any questions here about whose team this is. And that means sitting down with LeBron and saying, all right, if you want to play with me, here's how things are going to be. And that is what's going on with the Lakers. So to try to predict what kind of season it's going to be for the Lakers is impossible. We'll see how this plays out, the dynamic between Luka and LeBron.
Will LeBron be a Laker after the trade deadline?
If the Lakers are in contention, he'll stay till the end of the year. I mean, they're not going to jettison him because, again, what are you going to get for him? You're not going to get value in return for a guy in his 23rd season in the NBA, no matter how good he still is. You're not going to get any value there. So, no, he'll be a Laker for this season. But also, I also think about this, and this is something we were talking about on my Fox show. Do you honestly think LeBron James is going to, at the end of a season, just announce his retirement?
No.
Come on. I mean, it's the farewell tour, right? Kareem got it. Kobe got it. He wants that farewell tour.
And he needs it, Steve, to cement his legacy to compete with Michael.
Well, think about this, though. He's not going to do a farewell tour. There's only two organizations he would do a farewell tour with, the Lakers and the Cavaliers.
Yes.
The Lakers have been banging on the Cavaliers' door because, hey, they got a lot of young talent that the Lakers might be interested in. Cavaliers aren't interested.
Wow.
So as we get ready for the start of this season, we're still a month away. They just had media days out here. Don't be surprised if LeBron, if he can't get back to Cleveland, may decide that this is it. I mean, he's got Bronny, his son, on the team with the Lakers. and he wants a farewell tour. But then you got Lucas saying, I don't want to put up with some freaking farewell tour this year. I'm trying to win a championship right now. I just busted my ass to get into shape for this year. And I'm not going to sit there week after week with a big farewell tour for LeBron James. This is my team now.
Yeah.
So you see where I'm going here, Pete? I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces that we have absolutely no idea what direction they're going.
All right, last question for you. Yesterday, I thought it was or 2 days ago, I appreciated the exchange between Kawhi Leonard and Ramona Shelburne, just because I thought she did an amazing job of asking him questions when given the opportunity and continuing to ask him pertinent questions. But what I have for you is, where are we with that investigation and Steve Ballmer and the possible laundering of money, really, to pay Kawhi Leonard? Is that something where that is real, or is that something we are all completely perceiving wrongly?
Let's keep in mind that Steve Ballmer could buy the entire league. Literally. He could change the National Basketball Association into the National Bomber Association tomorrow. He could buy every single franchise. When he paid $2 billion for a Clipper franchise that at that point had a market value of $500 million, he put a lot of cash in a lot of NBA owners' pockets. This is going nowhere. Nowhere. It's look the other way. Ballmer just opened up the Intuit Dome, which, by the way, is ridiculous. I mean, it's unbelievable. You remember when they built Staples Center and they created that LA Live area? Yeah. That place is dead. Everything has moved to Inglewood now. You got SoFi Stadium, you got the Intuit Dome. All those people that were going to the downtown area to hang out in LA Live, they don't hang out there anymore. So was there something shady? Maybe. It's not like other owners aren't involved like that. But Ballmer's just one of those guys that, again, we're talking about the 9th wealthiest person on the planet. And again, he has cash on hand to literally buy every single NBA franchise. So, no, I don't think that. I mean, this is one of those stories where ESPN broke the story. And so they're really fighting hard to make sure that this story goes somewhere. Otherwise, what we were doing this. But one of our own came up with this incredible story. Believe me, it's not going anywhere.
Steve Hartman, you're going to the Hall of Fame, and you just showed us exactly why, dude. I cannot thank you enough for giving us some of your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Pete. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, would you do it again sometime?
Of course. I'll sit with a blank wall behind me any day for you, man.
Steve, man, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Man, there he goes, Steve Hartman. Scotty, that's how the pros do it. I mean, that was probably the most compelling. And we've done a lot of, Chris Visser is behind this. Scotty is behind this. We have done a lot of compelling interviews with big-time guests on this program. That, to me, was fascinating. So, and I told Chris this, my brother, Kevin, South Bay guy, LA guy for 30 years, was a huge fan of Hartman. I should have told him that, but I told him in an email. And you can see why. Well, that's going to do it today. I actually have to get on a coach's call right now for the Kansas State Baylor game. We're going to talk to Matt Wells first, Scotty, and I'm going to do it in here. So I don't want you breaking any news. But we're going to be back tomorrow, better than ever, with Bryce Petty. Bryce Petty, Baylor's own. And maybe we'll get him to talk about the 0-4 Jets. You'll have to watch tomorrow to find out. Thank you so much to Chris Visser. Thank you so much to Scotty Swingler. A beautiful job, by the way, managing those two guests back to back. That was like, Scotty. And by the way, Scotty, we work so well together. Dan walks in here. Scotty was like, this isn't right. I was like, no, it's not. And quickly I throw to break. Scotty takes us to break. We come back. Everything is cool. And Dan is cool enough to kind of pick up. He's like, hey, was I supposed to be here today? Like, no, but it's my fault. So we got Bryce Petty tomorrow. And, I got some work to do organizationally. Pete Souza Show presented by Slovacics. Have a great day. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's S-O-U-S-A. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
It's the Pete Souza Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Souza Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.